My name is Safia Alsop. I'm the Chief Engagement Officer with Walker's Legacy. And as you heard earlier, Walker's Legacy Foundation is inspired by the work of Madam C.J. Walker. Come on in. And her cause of economic yes, so Madam C.J. Walker and her cause of economic empowerment for women of color, funded through the success of her entrepreneurial endeavors. We equip women-led micro-enterprises through entrepreneurship training and business development programming, such as our Women Who Enterprise program, which one of our panelists, Midland, is a proud graduate of. So we'll get to hear more about that as we get into the panel. So our programming really focuses on what we refer to as the 3 C's: coins, confidence, and connection. Yes. And so as women business owners, we want to make sure that we're increasing those for all women business owners that we engage with. And this session is really going to get into those last 2 of confidence and connection. So we heard about coins earlier, and so we're going to get into the other 2 C's now. So welcome to the Women in Business Small Business Workshop. Find balance to power up your business. Before we go any further, I would like to thank our amazing panel for being here, and I'm going to let them take a moment to introduce themselves. And if you are a woman, an entrepreneur, please let us know how long you've been in business, just so we can get an idea and people can begin to connect with you all. So I'll start with you, Imani.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Walker's Legacy, for convening us dreamers. I'm Imani Samuels, and it's such a pleasure to share space with you today. I launched POWERUP, which is Swahili for free, back in September of 2020. So it aligned with the International Day of Peace, which is a declaration by the United Nations. And what we do is we offer sacred restorative experiences, especially designed for women of color, who might be entrepreneurs, they might be authors, they might be creatives, they might just be mothers, and need to rest. And so we guide them through a weekend of rest. Like yourself, they're pouring into their hearts, their dreams, and shedding blood, sweat, and tears for welcome. Thank you. Yeah. And so we have the weekend experience, and we also work with corporations and organizations for retreat experiences. So thank you for having me.
Hi, good morning. I'm Nindalyn Anderson, founder and principal of POWERUP LLC. We are an evaluation, learning, and strategy consulting firm based here in Washington, D.C. I'm proud to say that June 5th will be 5 years old. And so kindergartners, and we're learning how to say our names and follow instructions, but all the wisdom that was shared this morning just really means a lot in this journey. You know, moving from being an employee to employing myself to bringing others on, and I'm so happy to say we welcomed our 9th full-time employee this past Monday. And so we are growing, we continue to work with subcontractors as well, and really it's one part little girl dream, one part grown woman ideas about how my life could be organized in a way to continue to provide my gifts and talents to the communities that I love and the organizations that work with them, and also to build out that space for other women that are committed to data and equity, which is what we do. So we take information, data in all shapes, sizes, and forms, not just numbers and big data, but words, narrative, experience, and we pull that information together to really be able to inform decision making around major strategy, learning and development, and just overall how successful we are in the programming that we do, right? So you've heard about the millions and billions of dollars this morning that government and private sector and nonprofits are putting out into the world. And our core question is always, how is this getting us closer to freedom, to liberation, to equity, right? To transforming society to be the one that we all really want to live in. And for those of us that are parents or parent commitment, and that's what we do. We largely work with philanthropy, so foundations and nonprofits, but we've also had some government contracting and some private firms as well. And so we are here. We're not only open for business like all these other folks are saying, but we are hiring. We're taking on new contracts as well. And I'm just very happy to be here with all of you and to share more about our journey. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. My name is Rosemary Snuggs-Evan. I am here on behalf of my director of PSLBD, Department of Small Business Development, Director Christy Whitfield. She was a former small business owner. I have a background in advocacy. I've been with the department since 2019. Prior to that, I have over 25 years of experience in the public, private, and nonprofit sector. I've worked in the federal government at the White House with the Clinton administration and supporting minority and women-owned businesses, ensuring that they have opportunities for contracting in the federal government. And at the DSLBD, we're focused on creating opportunities for all small businesses, particularly those in the district, creating opportunities in not only the local space, but the federal space as well. So I'm excited to be here, be on this panel with these ladies.
That's wonderful. Iman, you're very nice.
Well, thank you, ladies, for joining us, and thank you for your introduction. And so with that, we're going to get started. This week, as you all know, is Small Business Week, but I also want to recognize that May is Mental Health Awareness Month. And while entrepreneurship is often viewed as the dream career that allows for flexibility and freedom, one of the things that we don't talk about is the toll that it can often take on your mental health, especially in today's hustle culture where we're led to believe that the busiest people are the most successful. So I pulled some facts. 72% of entrepreneurs are directly or indirectly affected by mental health issues, compared to just 48% of non-entrepreneurs. And that's according to the National Institute of Mental Health. So, Imani, I want to start with you. How can we disrupt this notion of being booked and busy?
That is real. Booked and busy. It's, we've lived in an incentivized workaholic society for so long. And one thing that I love that we're starting to acknowledge is the generational exhaustion that's being passed down. And sometimes we're not even conscious of it. So, back in the day when we were creating the fabric for this country, we tended to the care of the house or the home, the fields, we nursed our babies, we nursed somebody else's baby. Like all of those jobs we did flawlessly. And so that we've kind of acquired a hereditary chronic exhaustion and need to really pivot that with intentional rest. So we really talk about trying to be strategic when it comes to rest, not only self-care or soul care, but specifically calming your mind and taking really good stock of how you feel and how your body feels. There have been times, and my daughter, I have two daughters, the oldest is 9, she used to say, "Mommy, you are always tired." And I was like, oh my goodness. I used to say that to my mother. It was like a full circle moment. My mother, I grew up in a beautiful household, loving parents, but she was chronically exhausted. She didn't even know. She's been a caregiver for 60 of those 70 years. And so burnout is real. And so to honor that means we have to honor ourselves first. It is easier said than done, but it is a practice. So as we practice learning ourselves, we need to instill moments of pause throughout our day. Wake up, release the tension. I don't know how many folks here, what you do the first, the second, the third thing you do when you wake up. Turn the light on.
No, I said it's vital.
Oh.
Turn the light on.
It is vital. I mean, the first thing I do is I really release all the tension in my body. We don't even know how much in our sleep we're actually having stress. We're causing stress. And sometimes stress is good. You have the eustress and then you have the distress. And so you want more of that eustress, more of that beautiful, pleasant, invited stress. And as you invite ease into your space, into your life, It's really important that you honor your body. You nourish it. We talk about rest not only as a restorative kind of practice, but it's also an anticipatory practice. And for you guys and us as dreamers, as philosophers who are out there putting ideology into the world, whether it's your business, your philosophy, I think Denise earlier of the Washington Informer took a breath. That's the first thing she did when she stood at that podium. She took a breath, which then caused me to take a breath. And she didn't even know that. She's a publisher. But we're doing that subconsciously. And so our bodies tell us exactly what we need to know. And it tells others exactly what they need to know. So the Booked and Busy, or the Nap Bishop, Tricia Hersey from the Nap Ministry, talks about it as violent. This busyness, this culture of busyness is actual violent. And so if you were thinking about, like, how do I protect my peace? How do I foster not only generational wealth, but also generational joy and generational peace? It is so important to infuse those moments of pause throughout the day.
Okay. And so, Mendalyn and Rosemary, I would like to ask you guys, how are you infusing moments of rest or pause? Is this something that you guys are currently doing throughout your day? And if so, what are some of those best practices?
That is a good question.
Well, to Amani's point, it's taken me a while to really understand the need to take that moment and to prioritize myself. And so one of the things I have made a point of doing, and if I can give a little story of how
Yes.
this happened. I have a daughter who's about to be 25, special needs, multiply disabled. I work a lot, my husband works a lot. We come home, it's a few minutes with her, up to bed, and then I have my computer, and I'm up in the bedroom, and I was trying to get something done. And so I'm typing, trying to get something so I can get it out. And my daughter, who is nonverbal, non-ambulatory, sat up in the bed, took her hand, hit it on the computer, knocked everything out that I was doing. Now, my instinct was to be like, no! But it was a moment in which she was trying to tell me, stop. Focus on me. Put that away. And so that moment made me decide that when I leave the office, I leave the office. And I come home and I'm with my family. And my colleagues will hear me say it, like, when I come home, I'm home. And I'll say, well, if there's an emergency, I will take home, but that's my priority. That's where home is home. Home is not work. Home is time for you, family. But it took years for me to get there. But I think it's so important as women that we do, because we take on work, home, we have to do everything. We don't ask for help. We have to do it ourselves. And I just realized I can't do it. I'm going to ask for help when I need help. I'm going to, whatever document needs to get out, it'll be okay till tomorrow. And then I incorporated with my husband working out, not just focusing on our mental, but our body. And so 2 days a week.
I'm a personal trainer, so.
Yeah. 2 days a week, without fail, with the exception of 2 days a week, we go work out. And that means I go into the office and I get into the office at 10:30. But that's what's going to have to happen in order for me to do for me to be the best that I can be, not only for work, but for my family, for myself, is to say, put limits, and this is what I'm going to do. Everything else has to work around that. Right?
So what I heard was boundaries, really boundaries, setting boundaries, and that can be hard, very difficult for a lot of us, because we want to help, we want to do, we want to be, we want to see, we want to do it all, but we can't. We have to set those boundaries.
Can I say something? I'm sorry, I just came in and I'm just listening to what you're saying, and this is like really itching me to say it. I have to. I have an accent because I'm from South Carolina, so you do hear that in my voice. But when she was talking about asking for help, it just like clicked on me because I'm a Southern belle, and I always say I'm a damsel in distress. And I say that by saying that my mother was a single parent. She worked hard. She worked 7 days a week. She's 55 now. She still works 7 days a week, as long as I can remember. Take care of me and my brother. And she just got her master's degree, so she's still working. And they always would tell me, you know, Sheena, you'll quit a job, get a job. I said, because I don't want to be that person that is missing life. I understand I have to take care of myself, but just I've always seen her do that and just burn out. And so I always adopted the phrase, I'm a damsel in distress. I can't do everything by myself. I can't do everything. I'm independent, but I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to be a damsel in distress, and I just want y'all to take that with you, you know, so you won't feel like you have to always be there, do this, and just burn yourself out. And, you know, sometimes some of us have men at home, and we'll still be lifting stuff and moving stuff. And I'm like, if a man, you know, I have a husband, I can't reach that. I'm sorry, can you get that for me? Can you move this for me? Can you go in the garage and do this? I'm a damsel in distress. I'm not going to burn myself out. So it just made me think of that when you guys were talking about this. So I just want to add that.
Yes, yes, accept the help. Accept the help and ask for the help when you can. Mentally, what are some of your relaxation and decompression tactics?
You know, I'm really working on it, and I'm glad I'm the last one to answer this question because I've received from each of you as well, what you shared. What is really being called to me right now, I mentioned that mirror group is one part, Little Girls Dream one part, you know, the Grown Women Create Dreams and Ambitions. For some reason, I do not know, it was clear as day, when I was 8 years old, I just had this vision of myself, and I drew myself. And, you know, 80s baby, so it was like the gold thing played, power suit, briefcase, and I'm and I'm talking to some people off of page, right? And this was this thought that kind of came into me. And I thought I was going to be a bilingual English-Spanish businesswoman working in emerging markets in Central Latin America. That's not what I'm doing today. But there was this vision that was so strong in me. And what I knew is that the adults around me all had good careers, good paying careers. But I saw some loved what they did and some did not like what they did. And I decided as a young person, I want to love what I do. Right? I really want to love what I do. And the overwork, the intergenerational pieces, the family piece. I'm also a wife and mother of 4 young children. And the thing that grounds me this year is that my twins, Olivia and Vivian, they're 8 years old. And I can still remember so vividly how I saw adult life and work life and English dreams and goals. And I'm like, I'm setting the model now. So if I don't pause and slow down and do 8-year-old girl things, right, to slow myself down and ground myself, then I can also push traffic. And so that's my practice, is to really call on my 8-year-old twins and my 8-year-old self and say, let's roll around on the ground right now with a twister. That's what we did on Saturday, instead of opening up that laptop again to work on what I'm really complex with. And so that's my practice.
And I think what I'm hearing kind of in the room, a theme, is that we're wearing a lot of hats. We did a COVID-19 impact study where we spoke to Black women entrepreneurs just to find out how COVID did affect their business. And what we found is that about half of us are primary caregivers in our home. So I just want to take a moment, and I want you all in the audience, as they're answering this question, to think about it. What are some of those hats that you're wearing? So you're an entrepreneur, a hurt mother. Just a little bit about myself, I'm also my father's legal guardian because he is disabled. So what are some of those different types of hats that you're wearing? And again, how are you finding the balance to swap them on and off? We'll start with you, Imani.
Yeah, thank you for that. And what an honor to be your father I wear so many hats. I'm a full-time employee currently. I run a full-time business. I'm a mother of two, a wife, served on boards, and I had a remote caregiver a little bit. I have two parents. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. So hi, Carolina girl. They both still live at home, but my mom recently had surgery. And so trying to figure out how I can navigate there and still be present for my kids and find the childcare. I mean, a logistical nightmare it was. I felt like I was in and out within 24 hours. But I will tell you this, I, again, honor my body. And one thing that I've adopted this year is breathing room. Creating breathing room in every aspect of my life. So this morning I woke up, I wanted to be here early. And I said, I'm going to be here when Sophia told me to be here. And I took a bath. I took a 30-minute hot bath infused with dead sea salt and just sat there in stillness. Stillness is what fosters the spaciousness.
Yes.
And it's what fosters the curiosities and the imagination. And you're able to organize your thoughts when you're just there. No music. No, nobody there but you. So I asked for help. I asked my husband to take my kids to school, which he never does. And he said, yeah, whatever you need, of course. I asked for you to send an invite for today. Whatever you need, my pleasure. I love that. I love the asking for help. So I ask for help. I create breathing room within my mind, breathing room within my day. I canceled everything else on my calendar for today so that I can be present here and not feel like I have to rush before or after. I decline meetings happily. No, thank you. I won't be able to make it. Let me know if you need anything in advance. I delegate, of course, and that could be delegating to a friend. Can you look up those spaces for the bridal shower? Can you do this? So just creating breathing room both in my cognitive load as well as my physical load throughout the day. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
We wear the same hats.
We do. I don't have four though.
Oh yeah, plus two more. But yeah. So I'm a wife, a mother of four. So I mentioned Olivia and Vivian, our 8-year-old twins. We have Miriam, who is 6, and Isaiah, who's 3. And so full house. My husband was a federal government employee, and he left, and he's in seminary. And so he's focusing his full time on the Lord's work and working with men. I'm also active in my church, and so leading some small groups and engaging in those ways. I serve on boards. I serve on boards at my kids' school. I chaperoned the field trip, the first one in 2 years, just a week ago to the monuments, and hold all those things, right, all that space. What was the other part of the question?
So how are you doing all that? I think what Imani said is that she's using her calendar, she's declining meetings when she's like, my presence is not necessary. What are some other kind of tips or tricks do you use to balance all those hats?
You know, that's a great question. So one of the things I am trying to learn how to master, I do not have it mastered, I'm taking all tips, is really how to master the 4 Ds. And so when I started building Mirror Group, I got a SCORE mentor. So another one of those alphabet soup of things, and he was a retired CFO from a top accounting firm. And he gave me this Xerox copy, and you remember the Xerox, like little fuzzy pieces to it. And he said, I think this is really going to help you, and I appreciate Gary so much, I still have it. And it talked about the 4 Ds. What do you do? What do you delegate? What you defer? And what you don't. And I feel like that is my perennial challenge, right?
Can you say those again?
Yes.
I think we
Number one.
get your pens out.
Number one is, what do you do? What are those things that really only you can do, right? No one else can do it in your life, in your family, for yourself, right? In your business. What are those things that you do? That's where you spend your time. What can you delegate? It's really hard for me. I'm one of those recovering type A personalities. Like, I need to be in all the things all the time because I'm curious and I want to learn. I have to make sure it's done right. I'm really recovering from that. And so delegation is trusting. Trusting who's in your circle, who's in your business, who's in your family, who's in your opportunity to take on those things that's really not your work, but it still needs to get done. And so, challenge for me. Any tips and tricks, let me know. Defer. That's all about timing, right? Urgency, priority, how much time. So it may not be a hard no, this isn't happening. It's not happening this year. It's not happening today. And really understanding how to prioritize that. And then dump. And I love this part of it. All the work is not your work, right? All the things are not getting every thought and brilliant idea that comes to your mind may not be yours to do. And so getting very clear on what it is that you do and what is it that you don't do. And I love that one because I have a personal +1 philosophy. And what that means is that whenever I receive an invitation to something, I always spread that invitation to someone else, right? That information, that resource, that connection. And so I love the dumping part because I get to say, we don't do that at Mirror Group. Have you been at POWERUP? Let me tell you this healing space that they have and this rest and this respite. Let me connect you. And so part of that dumping is actually expanding, extending to others. So 4 Ds. Yep. Good?
Yes.
All right.
Any other tips or tricks you would like to add, Rosemary?
I mean, I think I'm working. I'm same mother, wife, employee. I sit on a board at Children's Hospital. I think in trying to manage all that, I just have to be and have been real intentional. And I know I've said this before, but this is has taken time for me to do because I've always similar type A personality. I need to be involved. The only way it's going to get done is if I do it. That's the only way it's going to get done. And I'm right on time. And you have to learn to let that go and focus on what you can, and what you can is going to be okay. And that's not an easy, I think, place to get to. You know, I'm 53, but it's taken me a long time to get there, but I'm there. And I think that's the one advice that I would give is that you just really make that time. What you can't do, it's okay. Be comfortable with that.
Yeah, and what I really love about the 4 Ds that Mendelin mentioned was the notion of sometimes we have to say no. We have to say no sometimes. So I'm going to ask the panel this question. Can you give an example of a time when saying no to something allowed you to say yes? So maybe you said no to something in your personal life, but then you were able to say yes in your business or your work. Do you have any examples of that?
I've been waiting for this question.
Okay.
You asked it last week. You gave us a heads up and said, I'm going to ask this, and I didn't have an answer then, actually. And the next day, I got an answer, and I'm like, I'm going to be ready because, you stay ready so you don't have to get ready, as I just learned. And so last week, I said no to an offer that was going to pay me twice as much as I earn right now as an entrepreneur and a full-time employee, 100% remote. It had everything that I would have looked for on paper this time 2 years ago. And I struggled. I wrestled with the decision. It actually came up in my body with vibrations and sensations that sometimes felt pleasant and sometimes didn't. And the day after you gave us this heads up, I wrote her an email and said, this is the woman who would have been my boss, or my supervisor. I am looking to invite more ease and more peace into my space. And the timing is not right for this opportunity and my goal. And so as I'm starting to name my desires, it has to be bold, it has to be with conviction, and it has to be with accountability. I can't say, I want breathing room, and then sign up for a job that's gonna, pull my hair out when I know and I'm envisioning, that looks like ivy. Though it is beautiful, it could be poisonous, right? I want to run in fields of wildflowers, and I envision myself doing that. And so not only did I say no to this job offer, I'm also giving up my full-time job because I want to pursue the things that I do. Juneteenth will be the weekend that I get to do this. Yeah, so I just feel like the no is just the beginning to the yes, and yes, and yes, and yes. I'm so excited. Thank you for asking that question because it really caused me to pause and was a contributor to my decision. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that story with us. In the interest of time, I know we're wrapping up here. I also want to get into the connections piece that I promised you we were going to touch on. So in his book, Lost Connections, there's an author, Johan Hari. He makes a comment that humans need tribes, like bees need hives. And so Mendelin had the opportunity to go through our program, and we have lunch and learns, and we had a lunch and learn with Shalea Shipman, and one thing that really stuck with me from that lunch and learn was you have to set a personal board of directors. And so these are advisors, people that you can come to, talk to, that you trust to give you sound advice. So I'm going to ask the panel, when thinking of your personal board of directors, because there's information overload, you can get information anywhere. Who are these people that are on your personal board of directors, and how do you decide what you're going to take to that board, and how do you decide what you're just really going to take care of yourself? And I'll start with you, Rosemary.
Okay, I think for me, it's a very small board. It's family members who have been people I can trust, whether it's for personal issues, professionally. It's been a few close friends. And I would say it's no more than 10 people that would be and I can take those 10, I can take anything. I feel so good with the tribe that I do have. They have been supportive of me as an individual, me as my husband, with my daughter, transitions with work. There were times that, to Monty's points, there were offers that I had, but it just wasn't right. But from a financial standpoint, I needed it. And they were the ones that gave me the advice, don't worry about it, we got you. We don't want you doing something that's really not in your best interest right now. And so I go to them for it. And I've got to put a plug in there. My colleagues know this, but one of the person other than my husband is my father, who's 81, who gives me the most sound advice on anything. So, yeah.
I like this question. I oftentimes talk about the circle, and I just think that's so important. So those are the people who are around you, have the greatest influence on you, all the things that you just shared, you can take anything to. And so for me, God is at the center of that circle. It's a constant learning lesson in my life that when I try to do things in my own will, and yes, I'm a very capable person, as everyone in this room, I can get into my own way. Right? I can't see beyond what is ahead of me, what's in front of me, what I'm dreaming of. And I'm one of those dreamers, not in the sweet sense of dreaming. I don't dream very often, but I'm always imagining, very possible. It's like things don't have to be this way, it can be this other way. We're going to figure out how to do it. That's kind of how I am. But I'm learning how to take it to him first and to really say, is this your will for me, or is it just something that's different? Right, am I being that circle definitely has family and friends in it that are like family, who I can trust with anything. My husband is a huge part of that. My sister, one of my sisters, is a huge part of that. My big no that came to mind was my first career was as a university professor. I was tenure track, I was honors, faculty and residence, like all these things are supposed to be the pinnacle of that career. I started it when I was 27, so just a baby, right? And so this should be what everyone knows for, right? Like in that field, in that arena. But I always knew that would be my first career, not my last. And I was due to go for tenure, and instead of going for tenure, I surprised all of my colleagues and resigned and ended up starting POWERUP. And that was a big no. That was a hard no, right, for many people. But I think about that decision and decisions like those. And my father, who's deceased, so he died of pancreatic cancer when I was 18, a freshman in college. But he always instilled to me, you can do anything that you want to do. You have tons of opportunities coming your way, but it's for you to decide where you're going to spend your time, who you're going to spend your time with, and what you're going to do with that time. And so during this really hard time of saying no to what everyone says you should say yes to, my husband, thank you. Friday. Blame it on the children. My husband, my sister, my aunt, who's my father's sister, and a couple of close girlfriends, they knew I didn't clearly know what it was that I wanted to do, but I knew that that was it. And they said, just like you said, we got you. Go ahead and do it. So, yeah, that's
No, it's okay. It's okay. Do you have a personal board of directors?
I mean, all of these. The only thing I think I might add to that, so definitely in having intergenerational voices in the tribe, like the elders know it, like there's nothing they haven't been through. The ancestors, spirit, God, I mean, there's nothing that has not been navigated through in terms of transition. The partner is the partner for the reason. So the life partner, the spouse, the hubby, the wife. My day one, like I always go to him for everything, and he always has the opposing view. And so sometimes inviting dissension into the circle is also necessary, just to have like a full, complete picture. And I've also more recently started to invite my girls. Paz is 9, and Noir is 7, and their voices are just so pure and honest. And they mirror back exactly what you need in that moment. So it's, Mommy, what do you want to do? So yeah.
Yes. The children are very honest. I have a 3-year-old, so trust me, I'm getting all the honesty these days. So the one thing that I do want to add is finding a mentor. So if there's a woman in business, it may not even be the same exact business that you're doing, but it's just emulating things that you want to see in yourself. I think it's important to reach out. As an introvert, it's hard for me to do that sometimes, but I mean, the worst thing they're going to say is no, I don't have the time, I don't have the capabilities to do this right now, and then you just ask the next mentor. But it's very important to have someone that has kind of gone down the path and can speak to these things in your corner, on your personal board of directors. So that would be the only addition that I would give to the wonderful board of directors that you all have set up. I am an introvert. Am I not giving an introvert?
And can I just add a point? Because I love this point about mentorship, and I just want to share mentorship is really mutual. It's not just one way. Like that person who lived the life, knows the things, and you want to get it from them. You can also pour into your mentors in terms of your new ideas and things that you're learning. And it's also key to understand that distinction between a mentor, a sponsor, a champion, and a cheerleader. You need them all. They're all very useful, very helpful, but they're different. A cheerleader is like, you can do anything you want to do. They may not know how to help you to do that thing, they give a connection to do the thing or whatever else, but they can really help to shore you up when you feel uncertain, right? That's a cheerleader. They're like root for you, cheering you on. You know, a champion, they really advance you. right? So they'll put you at the tables that get you the offer that you didn't turn down.
Right.
They'll do those things, and that's really key too, because they're not only rooting for you, but they're literally sharpening you, helping to place you in those spaces. The sponsor is one of my favorites, because you are not even in the room with them. They don't even put you there. They will speak your name. They will speak your name and not you. They will let everyone know, yeah, you need to talk to her. And next thing you know, there are doors opening you have no idea about. And they may not even reveal themselves to you right away. And you'll learn later that they've been tracking on you and seeing what you're doing. It's really exciting to sponsor you. And then there's the mentor, right, who in the trenches with you and really help to develop you in those ways. And so I always like to say that, the advice to get a mentor is really good, but also just distinguish those kinds of things and what someone may be able to pour into you and you pour into them.
Yes. That was a great addition. At Walker's Legacy, we really believe in community learning and kind of co-learning. Mendolin can speak to that, having been through one of our accelerator programs, Women Who Enterprise. And so I want to do a quick activity with the women in the room just to make those connections, go further, leave this room. I'm not sure if you guys have anything to write with, but everybody has a phone. I would like you to find one person in the room, exchange contact information with them, and in 30 days, what we're going to do is reach out and, I want you guys to talk about it right now. What is that one bold kind of goal around entrepreneurship that you have that you just kind of need a push for? And this person is going to call you in 30 days and say, hey, what's your name? Alexis. Hey, Alexis, how's it going with that goal that you set? And you guys are going to talk about that because I really want us to start building communities of women that are just supporting each other. So let's take about 3 to 5 minutes to do that, and then we'll get back together in a little bit. So go. No, you're okay. I hate ending these conversations because you guys, I'm sure, are sharing very good information. But I do just want to share, since we are closing out, just leave you guys with some tips. So please make sure you're taking care of your mental health by surrounding yourself with the right kind of people, that community that's gonna help you, your personal board of directors. Therapy is not a bad word. We believe in therapy. We need therapy. Our personal board of directors, we can't always just dump everything on them. We do need someone that we can speak with outside of that. And then intentional rest. POWERUP is a great resource for that. Outside of the taking daily intentional moments to breathe and rest, a weekend of rest sounds amazing. Amazing. So tap into resources like POWERUP. Again, set a personal board of directors, encourage community, and then you also want to tap into your local resources like DSLBD, Walker's Legacy, and then the Washington, D.C. Women's Business Center. There's a study that's been done that shows that women do have a unique kind of need when getting help, getting entrepreneurial help. And so that's why we have all of these women business centers that are popping up. So definitely visit the Women's Business Center, contact us at Walker's Legacy. We're Walker's Legacy on all social media platforms, including LinkedIn. And then we also have the foundation, which allows for Women Who Enterprise and programming like that. So in closing, I would like to thank the members of the Women in Business Working Group, Charlene, Danielle. Thank you so much for helping me put this panel of amazing guests together. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us and giving our audience just this conversation that really needs to happen. And Finally, I'm wishing you all much success, but most importantly, daily moments of intentional rest, because it's very necessary so that we can perform at our best selves. They are now telling me that you all can go back up to the 5th floor. There are exhibitors there. If you've signed up for the executive lunch, that's getting ready to begin. And so I just encourage you to stop at the booths, the tables that are upstairs. There are a wealth of resources up there, and make sure you go get you some of those coins. We cover connections, we cover confidence. Most importantly, we need the coins. So make sure you go talk to the right people upstairs. Connect with us here at Walker's Legacy, as well as DSLBD. They also have a host of resources. So thank you for joining our breakout session, and set a calendar reminder. In 30 days, you are calling your partner that you have met to check in on their love. Thank you so much for joining us.